start looking at some of the Kata challenge setups. We're going to be doing a new cohort, our eighth cohort, actually in September, I think tentatively, but that's what we're looking at. And so it's going to be, as usual, we keep improving it. One of the cool things about the kata layout and those patterns is that they're very adaptive, and you can kind of keep working on them and improving them and learning more about them. So I thought it'd be fun. I'm just looking at the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index, the Dow 30 Index right now, just focusing on that, and I've started, see some interesting setups. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of share some of the best setups from the week that I see that kind of get me excited and see what happens with that, just kind of documenting it, kind of see what comes out of that. So without further intro, I'll just get into it. So this was kind of taking a step back, looking at the daily chart, the candlestick chart. We had had that big sell-off and then the big move back up, these gaps. And then price had gone, right now is pretty sideways. It's bouncing back and forth and it's kind of oscillating. This is a 5 period moving average just to get a little more structure in there. But you can see it's gone sideways. And so this setup was actually ignore this. It should have been without this big red bar that gives it away. But you could see without it that the last time the price had you'd had this green bar on the bottom with the long wick, and then price had gapped up, and then it formed this resistance here. So that was kind of significant, uh, about that 151 level on the future. So if we drill down then to like a 60-minute candle chart, this is the same market on a 60-minute, just candles, just candlesticks, and that's it. And then what I did is I started to mark off just either important support and resistance levels or these like pocket areas where the price makes a pullback and then keeps going, so that we could see like often what'll happen. And this is from Damon Pavlatos and Linda Raschke, I learned, but it really does work well. We're kind of in these shorter term time frame, the trend lines don't really work that well, at least to me, as opposed to like a monthly or weekly where they're a lot cleaner and you don't have to update them as much. But here you get like when we were in this uptrend here, right? And then like price pulls back and then it pulls back into that little pocket area. Or here you could see it pulls back into this pocket area. And here it pulls back into that before resuming. So those are kind of good little points to look for. You could even have, we don't know what the chart is going to show, but there's kind of some ideas then of the overall structure. And then if it has some kind of pattern where it tests a level more than once, then I put the dotted, it's like an orange kind of color there, like up here. Now that it's tested this one, there's a dotted line there, or this one had these 2 points here. So that's pretty much it. Just keep trying to keep it simple, but get a little more structure. So this was on the 7th, and it was interesting because we had, I mean, it almost is, it's kind of my favorite pattern now, but it almost looks like a terminal wedge. We kind of had this price after this big long up move, and then it found that it was finding resistance at this prior level, so that wasn't surprising. And then, but what was really interesting was this at the beginning of the day when it broke through this pocket, these pockets here, because usually you get the down move and then uh, it's not uncommon then to see a continuation, right? That there's kind of a new supply demand imbalance, if you will. So that was kind of what we were looking at. And then what that looks like is a really nice clean setup on the 5 minute charts. Actually, it was this green line is the previous day's high, and then this red line is the previous day's low. So it gapped above the previous day's high and then started to sell off. And uh, usually the kata challenge, most of the patterns are kind of reactive, where you don't necessarily have to anticipate the breakout. You wait for the first move, and then when it pulled back, it was clearly making this lower high. So that's what's known as a collapsing dragon or a kata 2 short, where you could get in somewhere around here, and then you could see the really, I mean, just a great move. It went down to yesterday's low, and then went all the way through that. And I mean, by this time, you're up. a couple are, and it can get an exit when it crosses back over the dragon. But I just thought it was a really nice kind of clean setup there, and it's there were some other things I've been looking at too, which I haven't quantified or anything, but we might do some modeling in the future on it. But it was if we go back to the daily charts, it was interesting because you had in this kind of sideways market where it kind of goes between these high to low and low to high days where you had 2 days where it had closed. It made the low of the day first, right? Because these green candles, and then it wasn't surprising that then the next day it came up and then reversed. It made the high of the day first here, right? And then sold off the rest of the day. By the afternoon, it was chopped. But this was, I mean, a pretty I don't know how often this happens. Probably not very often, because it's based on, the higher time frame, a break of an important, re support level, which kind of triggered it, which was, I thought it was interesting though. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to be looking for. And then hopefully at the end, at some point we'll have kind of a library of maybe some interesting setups that we can observe and maybe model them or something too. Who knows? So.